What's up, y'all? My name is T. Shaw, and this is Brewin Black Podcast, where the contents we serve you is authentic, vulnerable, and relatable. That means we serve you with no cream and no sugar.
I guess I like my coffee black.
Hi, my name is Scholar P, pronouns he, him, his.
And it's your boy T. Shaw, pronouns he, him, his.
And this is Brewin Black, giving you the latest and greatest in topics for those who like their topics like we like our coffee. Black T, happy 420, my brother.
Happy 420, bro. Happy 420. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I was out and about in the city yesterday, and these clubs were like barren. And I was talking to some people, and they're like, "Yeah, people are probably not here because of 420." And I was like, "Oh, is that a fact? That's right." So, I had to make sure I went back home and appreciated the holiday.
Okay. So you were out last night?
Yeah, allegedly.
So people started at midnight.
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. Like work life has been cool. Like we had a week-long retreat.
Come on,
that
now.
was amazing. I felt like I got grounded in like the mission of the organization, regrounded in it. Got to connect with my coworkers and get to see them as people. Like that was really cool. And we stayed at a resort. So like I got a spa. They paid for a spa. It was 50 minutes. It was like a hot rock treatment. They put the hot rocks on my chakras. So I feel all aligned. You know what I mean?
Like Naruto or something,
you
right?
Feel me? At peace. Like the whole day I was just zenned out. Like you would have thought I was high. I was talking like this and yeah, man, it's whatever. We can do whatever.
Stop.
I felt like I could have went to sleep right after, and it was like 6:30, and I would have just slept for the rest of the day and just been perfectly fine. But yeah. Other than that, like life's been good. Just kind of hanging out with the family, the friends. Yeah, it is 420, so I guess my PSA is like, decriminalize weed across the nation. I know it's a Schedule 1 drug right now, so I think it's important that we look at that and we move it from a Schedule 1 to something where we show that there are real medical properties. There are corporations making billions of dollars on this industry that people are in prison for. So people want it to be legalized. I'm gonna say like decriminalize it because that gets people out of jail. We need to expunge their records. So yeah, like that's just my PSA. I think that since we all get to dabble in the holiday, I know it's widely illegal in some states, some of those southern states for sure, and some of those states that have southern ideologies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, no. To your point. Also watch where you get your stuff from.
That's real.
There was someone who passed away, but I don't know if they got it from someone who was an official vendor. So y'all be careful out there. Have fun, do your thing. But definitely be careful. I remember, because we were talking about the southern states and some of their rules about it. I had friends in some of the northeastern schools who got caught with marijuana, and like they had to it changed the whole trajectory of their academic career. Like they couldn't do anything, couldn't have alcohol, couldn't have nothing.
Wow.
And they ended up, obviously because they're brilliant, they were able to do that. But I'm just thinking they weren't hurting anybody, they weren't a risk to themselves or anybody else. And so it is sad to see those stories. So we definitely got to decriminalize this stuff, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. But with that being said, be careful, know yourself, don't take too much of it at once. I speak from experience. Don't do it, please. Don't do it, please.
Too much will definitely have you questioning life, questioning things you shouldn't question. One time I felt like my breathing went into manual. Not automatic. I felt like if I didn't consciously think about taking a breath, I was gonna pass out. And I was like, I don't need to be here. But while we're here, let me do these land acknowledgements. This is the land of the Gabrielino and the Tongva. This is stolen land. This is colonized land, and we will always, always, always pay those respects.
Absolutely. And with that being said, we're going to get into something that we like to call our quote of the day, all right, by the Zora Neale Hurston. Shout out to the Soror, all right. And it says, there are years that ask questions and years that answer. Wow. What does that mean to you, T?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it begs the question, like, is this the year of a question or a year of an answer? And I think for me, I think it's a question year. I definitely think it's a question year, and I think that that's okay. I have some years where I got a lot of answers. So I think it's getting back to the drawing board, and I think my question is, Oh, what is my question? I guess I would say my question is, what's next? I feel like I'm building right now. I feel like a lot of great things have happened. I've accomplished a lot, and I'm building for something bigger and better. And I'm trying to figure out what that is. And only time will tell. So I think that that's okay, and it's just kind of um, waiting for that process and trusting the process. But for you, is it a year of questions or a year of answers?
Well, yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna be on the exact opposite side.
Okay.
It has been a year of answers.
Okay.
This year has kicked my ass. You understand what
Okay.
I'm talking about? There have been so many bumps in the road. But at the same time, it's been helpful because this has been a year of unraveling like every piece and fabric of who I am, and I've had to sit with myself and like see like this is why life is the way it is. This is why you are the way you are, and you have to sort of sit with that. And like when you have those answers, it's so much easier to move forward because because it's like there's nothing holding you back from yourself or from the truth anymore. And so that it's definitely been a year of answers. I've been like, dang, I got to be honest with myself in all these different categories and deal with the ramifications. But like you were saying before, it gets to building something bigger and better. So what's on the other side of that honest conversation, right? So yeah, man, that's what it is. But we still alive, thank God.
I
Wow.
like that. So
wow.
you haven't really liked the answers you've been getting.
Hell no, hell no. But you know, you got to deal with them, and I think that part of it too is realizing that some of the things in your life are not going to be like permanently or indefinitely resolved.
That's
It's always
real.
going to be a constant. This constant that you have to address when it comes. Some things in your life are permanent things that are part of who you are that you have to know how to address and deal with when you're triggered, when you're this, that, and the third. And so I've been learning that and had to be honest with myself about that. So the answers I get, I don't like, but I'm thankful for them because they're the answers I need, not the answers that I want. So,
Shout out to self-awareness.
Come on now.
We love
Quit
it.
playing
We
with
love
me.
it. Because a lot of people run away from those answers, right? They don't like those answers, so they just kind of put them to the side and just keep doing what they do and act like they don't know. But it's like I appreciate you for not running from the truth. I think
Right.
that's super important.
Absolutely. No, I can't Usain Bolt from it anymore, man. It's right there. And I am the man in the mirror. So, you know, we gotta deal with it. But we gonna deal with it. By the time the second half of 2022 gets here, it's gonna look a little different. So I'm excited, man.
Bounce back.
Come on, I'm bounce back king, baby. Yes.
Okay, so for this episode, we will be talking about expectations, timelines, and ultimatums. So I think this conversation is important, especially coming off our last episode where we talked about legacy, because legacy is heavy.
Right.
Legacy is based on a lot of different things that we sometimes don't have control over. There's a pressure when it comes to legacy. Pressure, I think, because we're racing against a clock that we can't see. We can't look up and be like, I got 5 years left, right? So I think that's where expectations come from. And then we have timelines because we want to make sure that we accomplish all that we can be in this certain amount of time. And I think that leads to ultimatums. And I would, I have to be honest, like this conversation also stems from a conversation me and my girlfriend have had. And it's influenced definitely by, the Ultimatum show, right? We talked a lot about the Ultimatum show.
Child.
It's messy. And we talk about how people are on these timelines and that there are so many expectations. And I think those two things, again, just lead to ultimatums. So yeah, that's why I think we should really have this conversation. What about you?
Yeah, man. I think it's so funny because there's so much in what you said, right? It's the timeline piece, and like sometimes that can put pressure on yourself to like make ultimatum decisions. Like I know for me, a big thing this year has sort of been transition. Right.
Oh, okay.
There's so many things that are changing in my life that I don't necessarily have control over. And like timelines have shifted in unexpected ways. Right. And it's funny because it's like I'm watching everyone else's timeline around me. And I'm looking back over these last few years that I've been in grad school, and I'm like, where did I think I would be by this point? What expectations do I have for myself? And now, as I near hopefully the end of this journey, there are a lot of ultimatums that I got. It's like I'm either gonna do this or I'm not. I'm either gonna commit to this or I'm not. So now where does that leave me? So it's
okay.
I think especially with grad school ending, I think school has been like a safety net for me for so
Oh,
long.
okay.
Because it's always been like you meet someone, yeah, I'm in this graduate school program, or like I went to this school, I went to that school, I had these experiences. But it's like now I'm about to be in the real world forever. There's no more school. I can't even like I can apply to stuff, but your boy about to have a terminal degree, which means that's the last level for those of you who don't know. So now it's like, all right, well, how do I make sure all that time, because I spent 99% of my life in school. So how do I make sure all that time was worth it? And what will I have to show for outside of a degree and some quote unquote status, you know?
That's real. I love that. So this conversation will be extremely exciting. But before we jump into that, I have some a few rapid fire questions. So give me one word or one sentence. What is the first thing you hear, or what is the first thing you think of when you hear the word expectations?
I think expectations of others are met, expectations of myself aren't.
Okay. Ooh, bar. First thing you think of when you hear timelines?
Trying to not compare your timelines to everyone else's timelines around you, especially when you have brilliant people around you everywhere you look, like we do.
Okay. Yeah. And ultimatums?
Ultimatums. I can do what's easiest for me or what's best for everyone else.
Oh, okay.
Woo, yeah. It's tough. That was a tough one.
Okay, I'm gonna go and then we can unpack. So expectations for me, when I think of expectations, I honestly think of disappointment.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Timelines. I think timelines to me are structure, but also pressure as well. And then ultimatums. Ultimatums sound like they can be rushed, but it also, because I understand. Oh yeah, I'm gonna say rush because we're gonna unpack it. We're gonna unpack it. Okay, you wanna go first?
Sure. Let's see. Which one was the first one?
Expectations.
Expectations. I don't know, man. I think that I'm okay with life right now. And I feel like, we're two black men, two successful black men. Like 99% of black men don't get to even where we are right now. And we still got so many things that we want to do and accomplish for ourselves. But I think that's the hard part. I know that we talk about like mediocre like white people all the time. And I have a fear of being a mediocre black man.
But I mean, at this point, you can't be, right? Like,
I can't.
Gates Millennium Scholar.
Yeah.
You didn't went to some of the most prestigious institutions, like.
I feel you.
Okay.
But my thing too is like, I remember J. Cole was talking about like being in college, and he had gotten like a scholarship to go to St. John's, and like, of course, by those standards, he's doing great too. How could he go any higher? But he was like, how was he spending his time? He was like, he was partying, BSing, this, that, and the third.
Okay.
Now you think about him as like one of the best rappers of today's generation, but that wasn't what he was acting like at that time. So even though he had accomplished a lot, based on where his potential actually led him at that point in his life, he was being mediocre because he wasn't focusing on the things he needed to focus on. Okay. And I think that that's more so my fear. Like, am I doing everything that I need to do so I can reach whatever my highest purpose and potential is?
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying?
I like that.
And that's my internal thing. I think Drake said it. I have nothing left to prove. If I was doing this for you, I'd have nothing left to prove. That's the way I feel about everybody else. I don't need to prove nothing to nobody else. This is about me though. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
So yeah, that's how I feel.
Okay.
Timelines. All right. So I think it's this year. It's wedding season. Cousins, friends, and then mad engagements everywhere I look, and it's like, I'm not necessarily like jealous. I'm actually really, really happy for all these people. I'm excited to go to these weddings. But it does make me think about, okay, in terms of the grind in my professional, my academic career, who am I ultimately doing this for? Myself, but who do I want to benefit from this? My future wife, my future kids. So if I'm thinking about that being as my ultimate destination, it's how I'm moving right now, someone who's single, conducive to that ultimate outcome.
Ooh, okay.
Right? And it's like, it doesn't have to be right now, but at some point, like, you know, I'm almost 30. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to have my terminal degree. Now, once I get a nice paying job and I'm in it for a few years, then like, what else is left in terms of, you know, the single lifestyle, this, that, and the third. Like, you know, because you can only be out there for so long. Like,
Yeah.
I love Nick Cannon. I don't want to be Nick Cannon. I love a lot of the media personalities but they're not married. They're not married and they're not necessarily in happy families. So in that sense, so I'm like, what, you know, how do I sort of navigate and try to not necessarily predict, but plan for a timeline that I can appreciate.
Okay.
You know?
Cool. And then ultimatums.
Oh man. I'm just in a place where I'm just like, there's so many things tugging and pulling on me. So this, especially when there's so many different transitions, it's like I got to figure out what's important in my life, and then also understand that even though a lot of things can be important in my life, sometimes you got to minimize your efforts towards important things so that you can prioritize other things. Like ultimatums, I've been prioritizing so many other things and people outside of myself and my own growth. And, you know, I've been a very active part in that. So now the ultimatum becomes like, I need to make some real drastic changes. And
that.
What does that mean for me? So yeah, that's me, man. What about you?
Okay. I'll start with ultimatums because it's fresh on my mind. I know I said, what did I say? I think I said rushed.
Yes.
And what I wanted to explain is that I don't think it is even rushed. I think usually when you get to an ultimatum, like, because it's expectations plus timeline, there's been some time. So the decision might feel rushed, but it's just urgent. And I think that that's the word I was looking for, urgent. It's a urgent decision. And almost like ultimatums kind of sound freeing in a way, because it's like a decision has to be made.
Right.
Like, and you're going to either go through this door or you're going to go through this door. But then it's like you can't look back because you had already made your choice. Like, so do you want door number 1 or door number 2?
Right.
Like, I love, like, I get frustrated with Alex because anytime we come up to figure out what we need to eat for dinner, I'm like, what do you want? And she's like, I don't know. You make a decision. And I'm like, okay, this is hard because I'm making a decision for 2 people. So I'm like, okay, do you want this or this? And then she's like, I don't know. Or I'm like, put some options on the table because I can make a decision like that. If it's Chick-fil-A or El Pollo Loco, like, I can make a decision off that. Like, because it's like, okay, A or B. So I think of that's just what that reminded me of. So expectations. I said disappointment because I think historically for me, like, when I have some expectations for something, it can get high. And then when things don't meet those expectations, I can't appreciate it for what it is in the moment.
Ooh.
So I feel like I come in with either low or no expectations because I can just enjoy the whole thing.
Right.
Because if it's low, it's like the bar is low. So then
so
it's
you
like,
can't expect
this is live. But I do think expectations do also bring some type of boundaries. Expectations is like, this is what you would like it to be. And this is sometimes I don't know if they're directly correlated with boundaries, but I think your boundaries are kind of built off some expectations you have.
Right.
So I think that expectations can be healthy if the boundaries are healthy. But I think for me, like, at least growing up, I used to be really idealistic. I still find myself as being idealistic, but I can be also really realistic and pragmatic too. So I think, but it's almost like a self-defense thing. I had to learn to taper my expectations so I knew I could enjoy it. And I've just seen it with a lot of people, like, just conversations I've had. Like, me and Alex went to a movie yesterday and we expected it to be something different, but I also had no expectations because I hadn't heard of it. It's everywhere, everything, all the time, or all at once, something like that.
All of that, yeah.
Yeah, but it came highly recommended, and it is an amazing movie. An amazing movie. I want everybody to see it. I think everybody will take different things from it. It's about a multiverse, but I think...
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. Okay.
But we just expected it to be something different. And I think at first we were like kind of taken aback, but then after we really sat through the experience, it was like, oh, this is beautiful. But I think based on what people say about things, like, I hate listening to like things that people hype up, like Game of Thrones. It took me forever to watch it because everybody hyped it up and everybody was watching it at the same time. And it was like, can it be that good? And it
Right.
was. But again, it's like I knew my expectations would be high. So it's like I took time away so then I can come to it and be like, oh yeah, this is hard.
Right.
And then timelines, I think timelines give structure because I have a lot of ideas and I can find myself in the weeds sometimes and just like in the clouds. So I think timelines give me structure and it brings some type of urgency because it can lead to ultimatum if I am not like moving how I need to move. So I think timelines do give structure, but it also can be pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I want to accomplish a lot of things. And when I put it on the timeline, like in 5 years, I'm going to do this, like, shit, you can't control that sometimes. I think it influences like how motivated I am to try to reach that goal and like knowing that it's on a time limit. But sometimes things come up and you can't control that. So I think that that's where that pressure comes from.
I wanted to ask you this and allow you to give yourself a shameless plug. You got like a book or something going on? Talk about that in terms, especially in terms of timeline, because I know that was a long process,
definitely.
and there might have been some things that came up that you didn't expect, but you also probably put pressure on yourself, had to work hard, or went through some ups and downs. So like, talk about that as it relates to a timeline.
So shout out to Dr. Ring, that's my mentor, and shout out to Reese. Those are my co-authors. The book is called Saving Public Higher Education, Voices from the Wasteland. And yeah, the timeline is crazy. Like I started this research project in 2016. 2016, Trump had just been elected and we had a lot of conversations. And I had got into McNair and McNair provided me the space and resources to pursue this research, as well as Dr. Ring. Dr. Ring was really interested in it. And from the jump, she was interested in writing another book. And it just kind of happened really organically. So we're in conversations with Paul Grave. We have a contract we've signed, and we're just turning in that final manuscript. We already got a cover. Like everything is kind of like coming full circle. But it took a while. It took a lot of rejections. We got rejected by at least 12 publications, but I think more than that, maybe like 17. So I think, again, like some things are just kind of trial and error. You just got to keep persevering. Because at some point it was like, damn, is anybody going to take this? But the right person was going to take it at the right time. And I think because we got rejected so many times and people would give us their feedback and their comments, we would go in, take another look at it, change some things. So it's evolved over time. And I think now it's ready to be seen by people. I think those first few copies where we like, oh yeah, this hot. Like It wasn't quite ready. I feel like we feel like that about the podcast. Like it's gonna blow up at some point, right?
At some point.
And it's been hot. We know we got some fire content, but it gets hotter and hotter and we keep making it better and better. So it's like that refining. It's, again, trusting the process. So I think it's all in one. So I think as you continue to work on things, it doesn't seem as long as it really has been. Like to know that it's been about 6 years and then it's going to be published by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. But that's 7 years and it's like on one project. So I think it's like that patience. It definitely takes a lot of patience, but I think things come full circle.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, in terms of timelines, I think that sometimes there's a quote that says, as long as you're looking for happiness somewhere else, you'll never be where you are, right?
That's a bar.
Right. So, when we think about timelines, we think about like this destination joy, if you want to think about it like that. And it's sort of like, can you enjoy the process? Can you enjoy, like, even with our podcast, like, if I'm like editing a clip or something like that, that's where the love of it comes in, and that's where you can appreciate that process. And then when you get excited about it, it doesn't even feel like work. And then that energy spreads and people can feel the love and the energy you're taking when you share a clip and whatever. So it's like, I think I have been trying to fall in love with the process of things, whether it be this podcast, academic stuff, even exercising. Like, can you find something to enjoy in the journey? Because once you get in love with the journey, then the destinations, they take care of themselves. As cliche as it sounds.
Yeah, it's super cliche, but I think you just said it so perfect. Like falling in love with the process, because that's where the real work happens.
Right.
Like we know we're gonna get there, but it's like what did you have to do? What did you have to sacrifice? What did you have to learn? Like, who did you become on that journey? That's really where, like, I don't know. That's beautiful. Like I read the book The Alchemist, and like it took me so long to realize like that's what the book was about. I had to read it twice because it's like I'm trying to figure out where he going. Like you gonna get to the treasure, nigga? Like,
Right.
and it's just like, oh, it was all about what you learned on the way because there was no treasure there, but you have the treasure now.
Right,
Like,
right. You know what? I was saying I'm gonna be vulnerable with y'all. You know, life is like I said. 2022 has been kicking my whole ass. And the other day I was literally crying while listening to gospel music and sending emails. You know what I'm saying? And but I was going to the gym. Felt so shitty emotionally. But it was like that. Like having that mental and emotional fortitude, like I know that being able to do that even in that state of mind is going to make me a monster and a beast.
Absolutely.
And I know in my heart that like something in life is coming to where I'm going to be in a bigger level, and when things start to get at me emotionally and mentally, I know I'll still be able to perform and still be able to show up for myself and for others. And so like it's a different thing. It's the journey. Like when you are alone and it is just you and you are going through all these different things and you're finding a way to persevere and still be in that journey, it's like, oh my gosh, you realize how unstoppable you are.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And that's when you dig in and you tap in. So just having even an appreciation for that part is like wild. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So going off of that, it definitely seems like you're in a season of your life, right? And we talk about how like we think about the chapters in our lives as a book. What would you name this chapter, name this season in your life?
Let me see here. Trust and narrative.
Oh.
Trust and narrative.
Oh.
So yeah, I had a conversation. So I realized maybe a week or so ago that I have very deep-seated trust issues. Very deep-seated trust issues. And I'm always worried about someone betraying me or coming at me. And I realized that in that, I'm so quick to push people away. It reminds me sort of Zay from the Ultimatum.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
his issue was abandonment, and for those who watch the show, you can probably relate. You could see him pushing people away, being more likely to start arguments or put fuel on a flame of an argument. And it was sort of like he wants to push people away before they can leave him. And for me, it's sort of like the opposite, where it's like people can love me infinitely, and like I still don't trust it. And so even if they make a genuine mistake, I'm like, no, you always trying to do that, you know, or like you always are capable of doing that. So I think learning to like let myself go a little bit and accept love like is one thing. And I think
that's beautiful.
Right. And then I think I was talking to my therapist about this the other day. We were talking about the narrative you have for yourself and the narrative you create for yourself. I think sometimes I deal with my anger issues because of, I think people can be so disrespectful. And my therapist is telling me, okay, but like you can't be triggered by people's narrative of you. You have to let your narrative of yourself be the priority, right? And whether that's in that type of situation or the way your friends might think about you, the way your family might think about you, your own self narrative has to be what you prioritize and what you center your life on, and it has to be positive. You can't live looking at your past, rewinding. Like you really got to live in this present moment and be like, I am excellent. I am worthy of forgiveness. I am worthy of loving myself. And I think that that's what I've been trying to like take in this particular chapter of my life. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. What
That's
about
beautiful.
you?
What would I name this chapter? I think the title of this chapter would be This Is Water. So This Is Water is it's a clip that I saw that really impacted me. I don't know if you've seen it. It's some guy, his commencement speech, and he goes on to talk about like he walks through the mundane life of like a college graduate. Like you have a life and you have a kid, or you have kids and you sit in traffic, and like there's so many mundane things, and that's when people become really unhappy and they're just kind of going through the motions. And I think that now being outside of college,
Right.
a few years removed from grad school, and just being in life and not knowing what's next, I could find myself going through the motions. But I think that video has really impacted me because I think I'm taking the time to appreciate and savor all of the little things in life. And understanding that there are up and downs. Like there can be really beautiful moments one day and some really terrible things happen the next day. And it's like just kind of have to roll with the punches. And I think life is really unpredictable in that way. Like, about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, I had got bit by a spider, right? Arm swole up. Well, it wasn't that bad, and I had work all that day, so I just decided to go to work. Swelled a little bit, but I was like, I'll handle it tomorrow. But by the end of the day, maybe around 11, like my whole arm was swollen. I was like, I probably should get this looked at. Like,
Right.
I don't know what can go wrong, but this don't look good.
Right.
So I went to the emergency room. Emergency room was the only thing open. I have insurance, so I'm like, shit, I'm cool. Like, that's what insurance is for, right?
Right,
Kaiser Permanente. Went there, talked to the doctor for maybe 3 minutes. He gave me a prescription for like some cream and an antibiotic just in case it was infected. But it wasn't poisonous. So that was one of the things I was worried about. I was just like, I hope it's not poisonous. Hope it's not nothing crazy.
Right.
But yeah, it was a maybe 3-minute interaction like at the doctor's office. I asked them the whole time, like, oh, you know how much it would be? They was like, oh, no, I don't know. They kept passing me to the next person. I even asked the doctor. He said, I don't know. It's cool, whatever. Came back to me. I think it was like $300. I'm like, oh, out of pocket, like that's tough, but like, okay, cool, like it's handled. But then come to find out, maybe a week later, I get a bill. They give me 2 bills. It's a professional bill and a hospital bill. Yeah, it's like $700 and like $500. Yeah, $1,200, and I had already paid $300 like up front, so $1,500 for a spider bite. And I had already told the doctor all that he needed to know. And he was like, oh, you're really informed. I was like, yeah, I've been reading. I can't handle it myself. I need a prescription. I need something to like make it go down.
Right.
So yeah, it's like $1,500. And I'm like, I don't got that.
Come on, 1,500.
Yeah, just off rip. So it's like, okay. So I made payments. And then I was told that I could talk to somebody because I don't make hella. So it was like, I could get some type of like forgiveness type thing. It's like they would adjust the rate, and I'm like, cool. Talk to them for a cool minute. Nothing ever really happened. I just kind of left it. Checked the bill maybe a few months ago, maybe like 2 months ago, and it wasn't there. And I was like, shit, I don't know. Maybe God got me. I don't know.
Right.
Somebody took care of it. But little did I know, a few days ago I got hit. Somebody called me and it was collections, and I'm like, oh, like this is life. Like it's not a fairy tale like that. Like I did get hold, like I definitely got hold, but it's like no one's gonna take care of that problem. So then it's like, okay, how do I handle collections? And like these are things in life that you're not kind of taught about. Like medical debt is a real thing. I learned a lot about medical debt because I was like, well, shit, like how many other people deal with this? Shout out to Biden. He's passed something about medical debt forgiveness where if you pay some things, like something that goes to collections won't hit your credit hard, or it'll come off immediately. But again, these are just things in life that like you can't prepare for. So it's like I had came off an amazing week from the organization after I had felt burnt out with working with students and not really knowing where my career is going, things like that. And then we have a week-long retreat where I finally get some clarity and I'm feeling good. Cloud 9, chilling with my girl, shit good. Like just everything in life is good, and then you get brought back down to reality. So I think for me, like, this is water, this is life, and it's like I can't get too high and I can't get too low because I think this is just kind of how life is. And I think that like accepting that is a very beautiful process, and it's just like just know to enjoy the little moments that you have.
Exactly. Jeez, man. Yeah,
it's tough.
And when you say like this is water, can you sort of describe what that means, like as you're dealing with things?
I think it's just knowing that like you wonder what life is, and that again, it's like expectations. It can be this really grandiose thing, and then if it's not, then you're extremely disappointed. But like learning that like, no, this in my everyday is like us like fish swimming through water. Like this is what life looks like. You can want it to be another way. Like again, like J. Cole, like love yours. Like you can want a better house. You can want a faster car. You could want a higher paying job. But like this is what you have right now, and enjoy what you have right now because you do have love in your life, and you do have the things that you need to hopefully be successful for the most part. At least me in a very privileged sense right now. Like I have those things. So it's like, yeah, this collection shit gonna suck. Like my credit solid. I got that shit up. So it's like I'm gonna see where how much of an impact it makes, and if I feel like it's really putting me in the gutter, then it's like I'm gonna have to come up with $1,500, like $1,200. But I think that just knowing like this is life, and like I could be really upset, and I feel like back in the day I would, but it's just like, nah, I think that this just kind of, it sucks, and like I would like to change it, and if there's a movement for better like healthcare in America, like, oh, I'm gonna be front lines. I'm a motherfucking organizer. Like, I'll be there. But like, I just understand that like this is what I'm dealing with now, and like that's just what it is. And I know we talked about expectations a little earlier, about ourselves, but like, do you think you set high expectations for yourself?
Yeah, yeah. And I would probably say maybe like too high, because we were talking about the pod and all that stuff, and I was saying all these grandiose things that I want to do, but like for me, it's not only the expectations; it's literally the timeline for those expectations. I'm not a patient person. I'm not a patient person, and there was this one guy who said a lot of times in life we give up what we want the most for what we want now. And I was like, damn, that hits. Cause I'm like, I will rush so many things and deplete myself so fast and burn out so fast, and then like not put any effort towards anything because I'm so burnt out. So like I realized that emotionally these past couple of weeks I've been putting in so much energy into things and people, and like I don't have it. Like I really don't have it. Like I am depleted. Like I'm going to Arizona this weekend, and I'm gonna be sort of away from everything and everybody, and it's something that I need. So I think that in terms of expectations, they're extremely big for myself, and I'm learning how to have them, but like take it one moment at a time. One little thing at a time and let it build, versus saying, oh, this is so grandiose and I need to get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if I don't get it tomorrow, if I don't get it tonight, like I am sad because I feel like I failed myself.
That's real. That's real.
So
I think for me, kind of the same thing. I think less about the timeline, but I don't expect perfection for myself anymore. I think that's good. That's definitely progress, because I think as a high schooler who didn't have a lot but wanted to do a lot, like I expected that for myself, and I used to fall short every time, and I used to be so upset. And then I think in college at some point I changed my perspective from like perfection to progression. Like as long as I'm getting better every day, like I can be perfect at some point. And even if I'm not, like that's okay, but I'm en route to it. But I still set high expectations for myself. I want to do a lot. I want to accomplish a lot. I want to be great. I think that that's like my life's motto, to be great.
exactly.
So I do find myself having high expectations, but I think it makes me a better person. So yeah, I do have high expectations, but I don't think that it's extremely burdensome to me, because I know that it's a life project rather than like rather than like a today project, if that
Right.
makes sense. Like I know that I'll get it at some point because I have confidence in that. So just keep getting better, and it's like it'll come. I've seen the best people like Kendrick Lamar, Kobe Bryant. Like these people have achieved so much, and they keep getting better, but it's because they wanted to get better, and they just showed up every single day, and they just worked harder than other people. I know I can do that. So it's like I don't have to worry about the outcome if I know what the process is.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm thinking, we were talking about ultimatums, and I really like how we talked about how we come up with ultimatums for ourselves. I think people think of ultimatums, they think of relationships immediately. You got to do this, or we're not going to get married. But it's like I think we set ultimatums for ourselves because we have to make crucial life decisions. Like, am I going to move here, or am I going to live there? Like, am I going to do this job, or am I going to do this job? You only have so much time. You only can put so much energy into things, right? So for goals that we haven't achieved yet, when is it okay to let go of some of those aspirations for other things, or is it ever okay?
It just depends on what it is. I think that if you realize a dream of yours changes, right? So coming into the higher education program, I thought I wanted to be a chief diversity officer, and that dream changed. But I didn't want to like not go and get my PhD. Right? I was like, oh well, I can pivot and make the PhD like align with the new dream of like media stuff that I want to do, and they've actually gone hand in hand, right? I get booked on shows because of my status as a student, right? And so I think that your goals can change when your desires change. I don't believe in letting go of goals that don't change when it's just your environment that might change, if that makes sense. So it's like if I want to do this media stuff, right? And you know, I graduate and I'm not some big media star, that doesn't mean I give up on the dream, right? I'm out of school. All right, let me go get a full-time job, and now still use that full-time job to like help me accomplish my dream, whether it's the money from that job, the experience from that job, whatever. But I can't give up on that. Why? Because I can't go to my grave thinking about what could have been. I can't. One of my biggest fears is regret. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
So like, if you feel like there's any chance that you could regret letting go of a goal, you don't let go of it. You can pivot how you might get to that destination, but you still got to know the destination. I might take the 405 south or the 405 north, but they better be going to the same place. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to somewhere in North Hollywood, I'm taking the 405 north to get home. If I'm out by LA Live, I'm taking the south to get home, but I need to get home. You know what I mean?
I feel that. I like that a lot. For me, that's a good question. Like I didn't write the question. When is it okay to let go of some of those aspirations? I think so. I took a microeconomics class, and the only thing that I took from this class is that there are costs and there are benefits. And I think in those terms, like you have to weigh how much it's costing, not only in just like tangible money, but like time, resources, things like that. And if you can't justify the cost that it's making on your life, not only your life, maybe your family's life, and like just different sacrifices, then I think that that's when it's time to let go. I think that's what I did when I played football. It's like, okay, well, I really love football. I've been working out with this team and I would love to walk on, but they're going to get a new coaching staff. So like, I'm going to have to try out again. I'm looking at my grades. My grades not that good. Like it's the worst grades I've ever had. I think I had like a 2.6 or something. It's like, I got to keep a 2.5 to keep my scholarship. So what am I going to do? And it's like, I could continue to try to do this, but I know that I'm burning the candlestick at both ends and I'm going to run out at some point. So it's like, that's where I got to the ultimatum. It's like, it's either this or this. And like, when I looked at football, it's like, that mountain is so high and I love it. It's such a beautiful mountain, but it's like, I don't know if at the top of that mountain is like, if I'm going to get to the top of the mountain, one, and at the top of the mountain, is it going to be everything that I wished it was, right? Because it was a childhood dream. It's like, maybe I can go and take this other journey somewhere else that I hadn't really considered. I knew that I was kind of good at it, but didn't know what my interests were. Didn't know what I cared about. Just knew I was kind of good at school. I knew how to kind of freak the system and get decent grades, pretty good grades. But I didn't have a passion for anything yet. And it was like, I had to be brave enough to say like, look at the truth. Kind of like how you said, like, look at an ugly truth and say like, you know, this isn't really that realistic. Like, I am capable of other things, and that, hey, maybe like this education can't open a door for me to be great still. And like, here I am, like,
Right.
here we are talking, right? So it's knowing that like making those hard decisions can kind of put you in a better place. But it's also, you have to be, you gotta be brave, man. You gotta be courageous to like, it's like taking a shot in the dark, but it's also a shot that you know that you can hit, and you know if you took the other shot, like y'all might lose the game.
All right.
So yeah, I think that that's probably when it's okay, when you know that you've given it your all. Because I also feel that same way about regret, right? It's like, I never want to regret anything. So it's like, I try to take in everything at the moment and then just be comfortable with my decision. Because it can be the wrong decision, but it's like, I tried as hard as I could to make the decision that I could make, because I understand that hindsight is 20/20. You're gonna look back and be like, if I just did this, nigga, like if I like, you say I invested in Netflix right now, we just know it crashed, right? And it's like, you put money in and you tried to make the most educated decision you could, and tomorrow it implodes. Like, all you could have done is tried, right? And it's like
exactly.
you just learn for the next time, and just knowing that you live to fight another day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I in terms of like cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
Even with going back to people just real quick before we wrap up.
Mhm.
I remember even little things like dating apps and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
So like I know for me, it was sort of like, all right. So first of all, when you're a heterosexual man looking for heterosexual women, right? Walk with me. You gotta see I see a nice looking woman,
Mhm.
and you hope that she's interested in you. But if she is, she's probably gonna see 20 other people before you,
Yeah.
right? She has to go through those 20 people to start talking to you. Does she
Mhm.
respond?
Mhm.
Right? If she responds, does she agree to meet?
Mhm.
If she agrees to meet, do y'all actually meet? If y'all actually meet, is the date fun? And then you get to her quirks, and then it's like, do you know how many steps that takes?
Yeah.
Do you know how many steps that takes just to see if you're connected with someone versus going out and just talking to someone random and seeing if there's a connection? You can skip so many steps, right? And it's like, I know for me, when I was on the dating apps, it was like it was so much emotional energy spent hoping that I could get to the next level. Yeah. Hoping that I could get to the next level. And they're like 20 just to maybe see if you possibly vibe. And it was just like, fam, cost benefit. That's a lot of emotional time, energy just to maybe engage with someone. So I'm just like, all right, now I see. Let me take a step back. You know? So this is good, man. This is a good combo.
This
brother.
was a really good conversation, and it's funny because we had like the life section of questions and the relationship. We didn't even get to the relationship, so it's like I think we should do this next episode. Like, still looking at expectations, timelines, and ultimatums, and think about how that affects our relationships, not just romantic but friendships too. But yeah, no, I love this conversation. I feel like it was extremely vulnerable. I think it was extremely just like it flowed. Like I learned a lot. You barring shit up.
As we bars on bars.
But yeah, no, I feel very fulfilled by this conversation.
Absolutely. Wrap us up, T.
All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the conversation. So, like we like to say, keep the
the
coffee
coffee
black. All right, y'all. Peace, and we will see y'all soon.